Okay, now listen carefully. Be sure to read the description so you wrap your mind around how you are looked at as the debtor, the surety and debtor for the legal system and the corporate state and the corporate U.S. Inc. This is where the rubber meets the road, people. Okay, if you're giving your Gregorian date of birth for their state-created organization name, you are volunteering to be surety and debtor and to follow all of their rules, mandates, policies, procedures, statutes, codes, anything that they want to come up with. This is also where you volunteer to be the taxpayer. This is where basically you agree to all of the debts and obligations of the state-created organization name, but it's all fraud, because it is fraud for them to use your date of birth with their state-created organization name. The file date is prima facie evidence on every birth certificate that you can pretty much shake a stick at. Let me play this for you.
Isn't the common law rule?
Is there a common law rule?
Which are known generally for non-fraudulent purposes.
Yeah, well, I won't say my nickname on tape, but I have I do have a nickname.
Borrowing money?
We have about 5 minutes.
Okay.
For this section.
All right. The other thing about the financing statement that's really important is the asset description. And
Can you use all personal property? There was a lot of cases about that all over the place. What do you think?
on a financing statement, you may. That's indication of collateral, but not in your security agreement.
Say that one more time.
In the financing statement, it's a sufficient indication of collateral, but not in your security agreement. But there's a wrinkle here, and that is in order to have authority to file the financing statement, because there's no debtor signature, somewhere the secured party has to have an authenticated record with the authority. The security agreement is deemed authority to file the financing statement, but only as to collateral specified in the security agreement. So for instance, if my security agreement says accounts and inventory, unless I have also signed a separate authorization, the secured party can't file an all asset financing statement. It can only file an accounts and inventory or whatever I said the collateral
Because
was.
it's beyond the scope of the
Right.
authorization.
So I would suspect that in security agreements, there will be blanket authorizations to the extent that the secured parties can get them
Yes,
to be
indeed.
able to file all
Yes, indeed. That's becoming a very standard provision.
Okay. We only have a short time left, so I want to just hit the highlights of where to file. Within the state, it's centralized filing except for the real estate collateral, which is what Judge Hillman said. I just want to caution you to look for non-uniform amendments there. As revised Article 9 went across the country, there's going to be some wrinkles in that you need to be aware of, which makes the next issue about what jurisdiction to file in very important. And revised Article 9 changed significantly the choice of law rules. The choice of law sections are 9301 through 9307. Generally, the location of the debtor is going to control where you're going to file the financing statement. However, there are a list of exceptions starting in 9301-2 through 9306. And those exceptions are very important. For instance, if you have a possessory security interest, of course, you're not filing. Perfection is governed by the location of the collateral. For an agricultural lien, you're filing, but perfection is governed by the location of the collateral. The other major part of the rules on location of the debtor is contained in 9307, which sets out where is the debtor located. A registered organization, the debtor is located in that jurisdiction.
Where it's organized.
Where it's organized. The important thing to also remember when you're reading through the choice of law rules is to notice that some of the rules talk about the perfection step, and the priority or the effect of perfection and non-perfection. Sometimes your law will be two different laws. In other words, sometimes you'll file in jurisdiction A, but the priority rule will be from jurisdiction B. And instead of lumping them all together. And I think that as you go through hypotheticals, I've tried to find cracks in this system. I think it's going to work pretty well, although it's a little hard to get used to. So that's something to look out for.
Well, that's certainly one of the areas of the greatest improvement, it seems like. There's many transactions where people had to search and file in lots of jurisdictions under old Article 9. And in a vast number of those, certainly there are exceptions, but in a vast number of those, both after we go look at transition for in the future for new transactions afterwards, that should be just an enormous simplification.
Once we get through
statutory sentence about search logic, which says, if any.
Yeah.
Which seems to imply that there are going to be some filing officers that don't have any search logic.
Well, and there may
half
be,
right.
there may be a few as we speak.
So it raises the stakes, and getting the correct legal name of a registered organization, which is another new term, which means a registered organization is an organization where the state maintains a public record of the organization's name, or must maintain a public record of the
Showing that it
organization's name.
existed.
Showing that it existed.
I've heard it sometimes referred to as the state issues a birth certificate.
Right.
to
That's a
their-
little, but that's actually a little, and I've done that too, but it's a little narrow in terms of what the definition actually is.
Right.
The state has to maintain a record showing that the organization exists.
Right. And so,
Did you hear that, people? The state has to have a record that the organization name exists. The organization name is that legal name on that birth certificate that then makes its way over to the Social Security Administration, that then makes its way onto a driver's license or a state ID or your hunting license or your fishing license or anything, your bank account, your credit cards, anything and everything having to do with commerce is regulated by forcing you to use an organization name to register or to register with the exchanges in crypto. You now have to provide what? An organization name. These organization names belong to the state. Here, I'll play that for you one more time. So hopefully get to hear it. You watch how they deflect when the one of them pipes up. Yeah, and I heard the state creates birth certificates.
organization, which is another new term, which means a registered organization is an organization where the state maintains a public record of the organization's name, or must maintain a public record of the
Showing that it
organization's name.
existed.
Showing that it existed.
I've heard it sometimes referred to as the state issues a birth certificate.
Right.
That's
to
a
their-
little, but that's actually a little, and I've done that too, but it's a little narrow in terms of what the definition actually is.
Right.
The state has to maintain a record showing that the organization exists.
Right. And so if it's a registered organization, you should use the name that's on those organizational documents.
The organizational document is the birth certificate. Okay. And the organization name does not align with your date of birth. It only aligns with the creation date, which is the file registration date, which you'll find on the birth certificate. And if enough people realize what's going on and realize that they're committing fraud by using your date of birth with their state created organization name, and that you were never the surety or debtor or taxpayer in the first place. In fact, I think it's 8 USC, all debts are an obligation of the United States. How are they making you obligor? How are they making you carry the obligation of debt that's being created when they gave you no money? There's only debt notes. How do you pay a debt with a debt? See, all the gurus are just after the carrot on a stick, or they're getting you to chase the carrot on a stick. Everybody just wants to tap into that Federal Reserve window rather than get rid of the Federal Reserve that created all this mess, along with all the lawyers that take advantage of your ignorance in this matter. And even if you become learned in this matter, well, then you just become hated. And they turn to their monopoly on violence. Things are heating up out there on the streets, aren't they? I don't know what else to tell you other than stop listening to the gurus, stop listening to all the oohing and awing. What is the most asked question on the street when you don't have an ID? What's your name? What's your date of birth? What's your name? What's your date of birth? Because it's not your name they're looking for. It's a legal name. But you are saying, oh, yeah, my name is, and that is the assumption and presumption that you are providing the state's organization name. And then you give your date of birth, which is saying, yeah, I volunteer to be the debtor and the surety and debtor for that state-created organization name. I'll put a link in this video for this whole Bankruptcy Revised Article 9 that came out quite a while ago, 16 years ago, to be put it on the date that they have here on here, 16 years ago. And look, I'm still the last comment, which I made this quite a while, the 2030 Agenda Legal Identity United Nations Development Program of Birth Registration. because their goal is to birth register or organization name everybody in the world. The digital IDs will have an organization name on them. The real ID has an organization name on it. But the fraud that they're committing is using your date of birth, which does not align because the organization name was not created the day you popped out your mama. This is the most damaging information for the lawyers, the legal system, and all the corporate actors that you despise. And the more you share this out, the more you share this with your friends, your family, your neighbors, and anybody that'll take a moment to look at the birth certificate and see, oh, hey, that guy on YouTube, he's right. He's right. And a big thanks to Douglas Joseph, who pointed out the file registration date to me. And it is who they're punishing. Let me tell you, they'll want to punish you, but if enough people will stop being distracted, stop having the attention span of a goldfish, and just take a quick look and look at this simple answer, and then start bringing this stuff downtown. County commission meetings, city councils, mayors, governors, Department of Motor Vehicles, anything and everywhere where anything's ever been registered using that organization name, to your bank. Go to your bank and tell them, hey, you can't use my date of birth with this organization name that you've used to open this bank account. And the whole thing's crumbling down around us right now. Because this is a showstopper right here. And I do not know how to express it to you any more than I'm expressing it to you right now. This is the most important information you could ever look at in your life in regards to how unhappy you are with the way we've been taken advantage of for the last 100+ years, especially where that organization or that legal name or that birth certificate is involved, where it's demanded to do what? Enroll your babies in schools, colleges, go to the DMV and update your driver's license to be in commerce, which they'll say, no, you are always in commerce because you're tying your date of birth to that legal name. It's fraud for them to accept your date of birth with that organization name that's being used on that driver's license. Let me be very clear about it. It's fraud for them to use your Gregorian date of birth with the organization name that's on the driver's license or state ID or hunting license, fishing license, gun permit, bank account, social security account, anything and everything and everywhere that they're using that state created organization name. It is fraud, which voids everything. It would be fraud for them to use your date of birth with the organization name on their digital IDs. But see, the corporate world has to have that organization name in order to gain parity with you. In other words, to diminish your capacity to absolutely liberate any idea of constitutional rights, the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, all of that just goes right out the window. Remember, all roads lead to Rome, people. Okay, all roads lead to Rome. And you start doing the research and start going down the rabbit hole, but this is the best place to start. Because you realize very quickly that no, I will not give my date of birth for that legal name. And anytime they ask, what's your name? Your response will be, are you looking for a legal name? And they will always say yes. And you can give them that full legal name from that birth certificate and give them that file registration date. And you'll see a totally different effect. Under penalty of perjury and full commercial liability, verify the date of birth of the legal name being used in this matter today here. I'm not here to be a YouTube star, people. Okay? I'm here to bring the system down. The birth registration process should not be going on at our local hospitals. You need to take the hospitals back in your communities. Okay, because they become death camps. I think enough people have experienced that through the COVID pandemic. Okay, I'm not here trying to watch what I say on YouTube. I've already had so many channels burned. I gave up for a while. So what you can do is record this and play this on your TikTok or your Twitter twatters or whatever, wherever they'll let it, because it won't stay up long. This probably won't stay up long. Okay, because I was exposing the plan, the 2030 agenda to birth register everyone in the world. And then I had a kind gentleman point out the file registration date to me, and it all became crystal clear. It's fraud. Fraud voids and vitiates anything. Fraud destroys everything it touches. The military is well aware of this. They have been served and refused to answer on this matter. So everything that everyone and everything that you think is coming to the rescue, they're not. They're just making sure that you stay under those legal names, that organization name, that you remain a surety and debtor, and that you never, ever are able to climb out of the hole. They want your homes, your property. They want your offspring. I don't care at what front you're fighting on. This file registration date exposes the entire fraudulent system. Play it for you one more time.
If it's not a registered organization, then you have to figure out what the organizational name is and get that correct. And 9503 has some help in certain sorts of instances for certain types of debtors.
I just have a quick question. I think it was the practice in lots of at least large organizations to do what you would do under revised Article 9 under old Article 9, which
A registered organization is an organization where the state maintains a public record of the organization's name, or must maintain a public record of the
Showing that it
organization's name.
existed.
Showing that it existed.
I've heard it sometimes referred to as the state issues a birth certificate.
Right.
That's
to
a
the-
little, but that's actually a little, and I've done that too, but it's a little narrow in terms of what the definition actually is.
Right.
The state has to maintain a record showing that the organization exists.
Right.